Hi there. I am not Donna Pinkney, even though this is your Thursday evening devotion. If we haven't met, my name is Christina, and I'm one of the pastors at Wrightsville, and I am excited to be here this Thursday just talking about writing down and narrating our faith stories. Last week, Donna kind of challenged us to begin to write down our faith stories. And for some of us, that may seem like the most normal thing in the world to do. And for some of us, we might think, I don't even have a faith story. I don't know how I would begin. I have the privilege of being able to serve on our conference board of ordained ministry, which means we talk to future pastors and folks who are discerning a call and asking them to write down their call story. And maybe a faith story is not that different. And so I'm just over the next couple minutes, we're just going to think about and brainstorm some ways that we could write down and think about the story of what God has done in our lives. The first thing I have is a quote that I love by the writer Paula Darcy, and it says, "God comes to you disguised as your life." I love that. That maybe you may be seeing it backwards probably since it's on the screen, but God comes to you disguised as your life, which doesn't mean that God made everything happen that has happened to you. A lot of times God may have worked through suffering or through feeling betrayed or being betrayed by others, sometimes even others that have come to you in his name. But that God is there amidst all of the regular, ordinary things. You may hear my washing machine in the background, or my dryer drying my load of towels and masks. You may hear the rain outside the window, or my cat right over here. This is my regular, ordinary life, and God is here in the midst of it. So a couple of thoughts I have here. Sometimes I like to use art supplies, and maybe instead of just a journal, maybe you're not much of a journaler, but you might be a doodler. You might like to have some paper and Sharpies, or some markers or pens or color pencils. Maybe this is something that you want to do together with your spouse, your kid, or a grandkid, or hey, even over Zoom, it can work. But I'm wondering if you just maybe make a line, and this line would represent your life. This being where you are right now, hopefully not the end of the line, but this being your birth. And to think about a couple of things. Maybe you can make a mark. The first question to think about is, where are some times, or when were some times or events or places where you felt so close to God? It's not all about feelings, but a time which maybe even if the feelings weren't there, you had that quiet assurance that you were there, that you were close to God, that you were doing what you were meant to do. And you can kind of mark those. Maybe that might be, maybe you were baptized, or at a certain time, either as a child or an adult or a teenager. I know for some of our youth, they have an experience of God at D-Now or Pilgrimage or one of our conferences. Maybe you went on a walk to Emmaus, or maybe a friend invited you to our church, either online or in person, and that was the moment. I'm wondering if you could take a couple moments, and these moments that you felt very close to God, and maybe make a cross right there on your timeline. Put it where it is in your life, and say what it was. What are these moments that you felt close to God? And I'm also wondering, what are some of the moments that you felt very far away from God? Or maybe you were experiencing suffering in your life. Maybe you were part of a church or a community or something, a family, that it was not a positive experience. Doesn't mean we only feel close to God when we're happy and only far from God when we're sad, far from that. But I'm wondering, what are those moments that you felt very far away? And you can mark those also. I'm wondering if you can mark those with a teardrop. I'm also kind of curious if you can mark down either on your timeline, either somewhere or above or below. Who are some of the people that have shaped your faith? Our youth, our confirmands, every year during confirmation class, we have just started confirmation, and every year we ask them to make a stole. It's like the stoles that Pastor Doug, Pastor Hope, and I wear in worship that reminds us that we are God's ministers. And we tell our confirmands and our youth that we are all ministers. We have over 2,600 ministers at Wrightsville, and that they are the nearest ones because they are reaching out in witness and in mission in Jesus' name. And we ask them, who are some of the people that have ministered to them? Who are some of the people that have shaped their Christian faith? Maybe that is a writer or a Christian saint or hero that we have never met. I know for me, there are so many writers. The writer Mary Oliver and Jane Kenyon, people of faith who have passed on, who I admire. There are heroes like Dorothy Day, Oscar Romero, Martin Luther King Jr., Fannie Lou Hamer, people who I have never met and won't this side of heaven. But there's also people I know, teachers and mentors and dear friends that have helped me feel close to God. So I'm wondering,